the American people.
Washington Week, Friday nights, only on PBS.
Support for Arizona PBS comes from viewers like you and from
Yupa's Thai Kitchen in Tempe features fresh, authentic Thai cuisine and vegetarian Thai dishes served in a homeland-style decor atmosphere. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Information at 480-839-0576.
On the next Arizona Horizon, encouraging new research on a potential therapy for those with early-stage Alzheimer's disease. And a national journalist paints a picture of America finding common grounds of belief. It's on the next Arizona Horizon.
On country music.
There was this saying, blues had a baby, and they called it rock and roll. And I always said, yeah, and I think the daddy was a hillbilly.
2 new careers are launched in Memphis.
When it comes to music, Memphis has always had a little more soul. It's in the gumbo down there.
And 2 legendary women come to Nashville.
When you hear her sing, you feel the emotion in every lyric.
When country music continues.
Tonight at 7 on Arizona PBS. Explore new ideas and new worlds here on Arizona PBS, a community service of Arizona State University.
Arizona PBS deeply appreciates every gift we receive, and we are proud to honor our Executive Society. These supporters believe in the mission of public television and are making a real impact in our community. If you would like to join the Executive Society, please call the number below or log on to azpbs.org to join. Thank you.
Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World.
Your favorite PBS shows, ready to watch when you are. Anytime, any place. Find more ways to explore than ever before.
Arizona PBS celebrates a moment in time made possible by Whitfield Nursery. Fort Defiance, established in 1851, was the first military post in Arizona. Once a symbol of control, has become a place of hope for the Navajo who live there.
Coming soon to Arizona PBS.
Washington Week is an island of civil discourse in a chaotic media environment. On Friday nights, we gather the best reporters in the nation and have a conversation that's about informing the American people.
Washington Week.
All new, Friday night at 7 on Arizona PBS.
From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Bullets and bills. A new report shares just how much gun violence is costing Arizona.
Plus, a West Nile virus survivor shares her story exclusively with Cronkite News. Find out how to protect yourself from the disease.
And what the lack of rain this monsoon means for mushroom ecosystems in the desert.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Madison LaBerge.
And I'm Daria Yasmin. Thank you for joining us.
A new report claims Arizona loses as much as 1.5% of the gross domestic product to the cost of gun violence annually.
The state-by-state study was done by the Giffords Law Center to prevent gun violence and was presented today by the House Democrats, who renewed calls for new laws to prevent attacks like the spate of mass shootings last month.
The report was just one part of a day of partisan sparring across Capitol Hill today on the gun issue, with Republicans calling for improved mental health care.
You know what drives the evil and the mass killings that we see from time to time in this country? It isn't the instrumentality. It is evil in the hearts of somebody.
But while Biggs was defending the Second Amendment, Democrats like New York Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney were saying guns are the problem.
Let's never forget that the biggest, most tragic cost of all is the loss of a human life.
It came as the House Education and Labor Committee voted along party lines for a bill directing the Department of Education to track and report annually on school shootings. Developing now, a disappointed Arizona Democratic Party is moving to censure Senator Kyrsten Sinema in the coming weeks because of her voting record. They say data shows she's voted in line with President Trump's official positions on bills going through the Senate at least 50% of the time. And they want her to stand up to Trump and, quote, vote like a Democrat. Committee members are set to consider the censure at a meeting on Saturday.
A federal appeals court says media should be able to hear, not just see, the entire process of executing condemned inmates in Arizona. But the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled yesterday that the media and death row inmates are not entitled to information about the source and quality of execution drugs or the qualification of executioners. The case was brought by 7 condemned inmates and the First Amendment Coalition of Arizona. They argued the information would help the public determine whether the death penalty is carried out humanely.
A new report tonight shows an alarming number of cases of West Nile virus in Arizona. So what's causing the increase and what are authorities doing to prevent it? Tyon Marshburn has the details.
This year's monsoon season was not very active, but cases of the West Nile virus, which is spread by mosquitoes, are high.
I was throwing up and I was so dizzy I couldn't see, couldn't walk.
Kimberly Colson discusses the symptoms of West Nile virus. She says she was diagnosed last year.
The pain, the memory, a lot of people, I still have problems with swallowing.
According to the latest report from the CDC, Arizona has the most cases of West Nile virus in the nation. The Arizona Department of Health Services reported 140 cases and 11 deaths. 137 cases were in Maricopa alone. Dr. Rebecca Sunenshine of the Maricopa Department of Public Health says that there is no treatment for the West Nile virus.
If somebody is having a headache, a stiff neck, or any type of neurological symptoms, of course they want to go see a doctor.
According to Johnny DeLaunay, Public Information Officer for Maricopa County Environmental Services, the county is working on reducing the number of cases in the valley.
We go one day, set up the trap, we leave that trap overnight, and then the next morning we go and collect those traps. We bring them back to the lab.
In addition to setting mosquito traps to test the insects for West Nile virus, DeLaunay says that they also use other methods to fight the problem.
If the traps are meeting our protocol for fogging, then we'll go back and spray that 1 square mile area where that trap is located.
According to health authorities, mosquitoes can grow in as little as a water bottle top or in a pond of water.
They want to pick up those pet bowls and planters, empty out the water, and even scrape the inside edges so the eggs can't hatch.
Colson is learning more and more about the virus every day, but is still constantly worried about mosquitoes.
Where to? I must have PTSD to mosquitoes.
In Phoenix, Tyon Marshburn, Cronkite News.
The number of Arizonans without health insurance is on the rise, with new numbers from the Census Bureau shows an additional 55,000 lost insurance from 2017 to 2018, bringing the total number of uninsured in the state to 750,000 people last year. That's about 10.5% of the state's population. But Arizona was not alone. Despite a strong economy, the national uninsured rate rose to 8.9% of the population, as the number of uninsured rose by 500,000 people. As of 2017, there have been more than 3,000 reported deaths from Alzheimer's in the state of Arizona. That's 193% increase since 2000. Cronkite News reporter Gabrielle Oliveira spoke to the Alzheimer's Association to find out what the future may hold when it comes to this disease.
Every year, the Alzheimer's Association releases a facts and figures report. The latest report shows Arizona has the fastest growth rate for the Alzheimer's disease in the country. The report also projected that Arizona would score from nearly 37% to nearly 43% in dementia prevalence compared to other states in the years to come. This year, the projected number of Arizonans who have dementia is about 140,000. An estimated 5.8 million Americans live with Alzheimer's, and Arizona is currently preparing to deal with the increase of patients who live with the disease. According to Katie Scavarce, the communications director of the Alzheimer's Association's Desert Southwest chapter, The increase is due to many different factors.
One of the risk factors for dementia generally is age. So as you probably know, Arizona has a high aging population. That also factors in the fact that many people retire to Arizona. So with the increased rate of people retiring to the state, that increases the numbers there, as well as that baby boomer population of probably 55 and older that are starting to age up to 65, and so you see a higher prevalence of the disease here.
The Alzheimer's Association encourages anyone with questions to call 800-272-3900. The Walk to End Alzheimer's will be later this year in various locations and dates across the state. From the Broadcast Center, Gabrielle Oliveira, Cronkite News.
Hikers on a popular Grand Canyon trail will have to take another path starting Monday. Crews are set to begin a months-long project to replace the aging pumps along the South Rim's famous Bright Angel Trail. The current water pumps date back to the 1960s and routinely go out for the South Rim's nearly 6 million visitors. The park says the new pumps will be able to gush out about 700 gallons of water per minute. The project is expected to continue into next spring.
We are less than 1 week away from the Climate Action Summit, where environmental, governmental, and civil leaders come together to address climate change.
Cronkite News sustainability reporter Jordan Evans joins us in the studio to explain how climate change affects you.
We are continuing our coverage on climate change ahead of Monday's United Nations Climate Summit in New York City. And if you're curious about how climate change is affecting us here in Arizona, we have a lot of data from Climate Central to help explain this. Climate Central is an independent organization of leading scientists and journalists. The organization surveys and conducts scientific research and compiles records from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So when we think of national parks, we think of them as places to escape the heat. But climate change, it's affecting them too. And right here in Arizona, let's take you to the Grand Canyon and show you this. These are the average annual temperatures over the past 100 years. And notice the trend here. We're talking nearly 2.5 degrees of warming there at the top of the Grand Canyon since record keeping began in 1916. Now let's take you down to Saguaro National Park. Pretty much the same thing down there, except from all the way from 1916 to the current century, we're talking more than 3 degrees of warming. Now, 2 to 3 degrees may not seem like a lot of warming to you, but when you factor in climate change in the next 100 years, you know, we could be dealing with temperatures at the Grand Canyon just like here in Phoenix. According to Climate Central, out of 62 national parks analyzed, all of them but one shows a warming trend. This is in part because of the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which set a new high for the planet in the last 2 million years. CO2 is the leading cause of global warming, which means snow, ice, they're all disappearing from many parks. That allows the ground to absorb more solar radiation, which raises temperatures further. A warming planet will cause parks here in the Southwest to become drier, and according to a 2016 report from Climate Central, every park will experience, quote, a dramatic shift in its climate in the coming decades. Rising temperatures can impact visitation to the parks and threaten wildlife by making habitats not suitable. Let's switch gears now and talk about our major cities here in Arizona. In fact, in Tucson, we can talk about the number of days that are above 105 degrees. Take a look at this data from Climate Central. We're seeing a trend just like we saw with national parks, and we're talking about 17 more days where temperatures reach at least 105 degrees there in Tucson. Now here in the Valley of the Sun, we can take that number up just a little bit because of our elevation, but we're seeing the same pattern again. All the way from 1970 and to today's standards, we're seeing nearly 7 to 8 more days where temperatures are reaching at least 110 degrees. Not only does the urban heat island effect contribute to this, but when you put climate change on top of that, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Out of 244 cities analyzed by Climate Central, 75% of them recorded an increase in extremely hot days since 1970. Miami, Florida had the largest change of 90-degree-plus days, which was 75. The Center for Disease and Control says extreme heat is the deadliest of all weather hazards. And as we all know here in the Valley, extreme heat can take a toll on all of us during the summer. The Maricopa County Department of Public Health reported 182 heat-related deaths last year and 949 since 2010. The latest National Climate Assessment states that, quote, changes in extremely hot and extremely cold temperatures are projected to result in 9,000 deaths across 49 U.S. cities by the end of the century if we don't curb emissions. So we know that is a lot of information to take in, but we want to know, what is the one word that best describes your feelings about climate change? Share it with us on our Facebook page or tweet your word to us on Twitter at Cronkite News. Live in the Weather Center, Jordan Evans, Cronkite News.
Here's some of the top responses we've gotten so far: frightened, inevitable, critical, and cult. You can add your voice to the conversation by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Cronkite News. Here's some... This report is a part of Covering Climate Now, a global collaboration of more than 250 news outlets to strengthen climate coverage. Check out more from our public media partners in Elemental, covering sustainability, collaboration at elementalreports.com.
Coming up next on Cronkite News at 5, school supply shortage. Find out how local teachers are getting a helping hand in keeping their classrooms stocked.
And ASU gets a major grant for a one-of-a-kind molecular laser.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
With school underway, teachers are still struggling to obtain basic classroom supplies.
Cronkite News reporter Rio Painter visited a local nonprofit that helps provide discounted supplies.
So I saw a teacher ask a student to bring her shoe up in exchange for a pencil because the teacher didn't have enough pencils. And this way she would get her pencil back because the student wouldn't leave without her shoe. And that was the one thing that kind of broke my heart and made me realize that there was actually a problem out there. The teachers didn't have the supplies that they needed.
Arizona ranks 4th for teacher spending, according to the most recent data analysis by the Economic Policy Institute. The data shows teachers spend an average of $552 per year out of their own pockets. Many teachers looking for ways to save head to Treasures for Teachers, which allows educators to fit as much supplies as they can in the bag for $5.
100% of everything that we receive is donated to us. So from private people, companies, businesses, school supply drives, donation drives, anybody that has any kind of donations that we think teachers can use, we will take.
The store was expanded 2 years ago, adding on a thrift shop, which helps produce more money to provide discounted supplies for teachers.
We get items from, like I said, jewelry to stamps to clothing to housewares. We get high-end items. We get lots of antiques.
While the supply room is only open to educators, the thrift shop is open to the public. Creative teachers are also turning to online funding sites like Donors Choose and Adopt a Classroom to fund special projects. In Tempe, Rio Painter, Cronkite News.
There's a $35 annual membership fee to join Treasures for Teachers, but the nonprofit group says memberships make a great gift.
Coming soon to the ASU Biodesign Institute, the Compact X-ray-Free Electron Laser, or XFEL. The instrument comes with a $4.7 million grant to advance studies of the new device. The brainchild of physicist William Graves designed the laser to help scientists explore the smallest corners of molecular biology, medical imaging, astrophysics, and renewable energy. It's taken scientists 3 decades to finalize this and perfect the design.
But it takes only still pictures, and what we really want are movies. We want to see how materials change. We want to see chemical reactions as they occur, or all these kinds of excitations that lead to new phenomena like new quantum effects in materials that could really advance energy conservation.
Laser will also help ASU advance and accelerate its drug research.
Right now, people are taking to social media to celebrate the U.S. Air Force 72nd birthday. Check out this post from Air Force Space Command. The caption reads in part, "Today we celebrate who we are as airmen. Keep aiming high."
The U.S. Army sharing this video, tweeting, "They may have separated from the Army in 1947, but they have been trailblazers ever since."
And even the U.S. Navy is joining the online conversation with congrats on the 72 years, playing a key role in the National Defense Strategy. Here's to many more. Up next, Mushroom Madness. We take you hunting with the squad of shroom lovers in Tucson as they search for the perfect batch before the monsoon ends.
And we've made it halfway through the week. So, will you be spending your weekend indoors or outdoors? Our full forecast just minutes away.
Cronkite Noticias is the Spanish-speaking division of Cronkite News, covering topics such as economics, education, sustainability, immigration, and border relations. Cronkite Noticias strives to serve the Spanish-speaking community in Arizona. Under the guidance of prominent Spanish-speaking professionals, students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism develop content for our broadcast partner, Univision, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Explore Cronkite Noticias at cronkitenoticias.azpbs.org.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
A dry monsoon is impacting fungi in a negative way. Cronkite News reporter Melanie Porter went to Mount Lemon near Tucson to find out how important mushrooms are to our ecosystem.
Calabalosi.
A delicacy thrives at the base of the forest floor.
What's fascinating to me about mushrooms is that there's so much that is still unknown about mushrooms. They are kind of like the final frontier of the natural sciences, the science we understand the least about.
Mushrooms are more than just a delicious pizza topping. They also bring balance to the forest.
The ecosystem, we need them. Mushrooms, just like the bees need the flowers. You know, the mushrooms provide the mycelium of the mushrooms for the trees.
And these mushrooms also bring people together through the Arizona Mushroom Society.
The adult idea of a Easter egg hunt. You know, when you find something that's new and you finally discover what it is, it's exciting.
Mushrooms are an essential part of the ecosystem because they're used to decompose things. However, with the shortened monsoon season, mushroom season is also at risk.
Mushrooms are going to come and go with the season and how much rain we get. And we had a great winter. It could have been a very productive summer if it had continued, but you know, you can't have it both times, so.
Mushroom forays happen all over the state of Arizona, from the Grand Canyon to the White Mountains to Mount Lemon.
Yeah, some years are definitely spottier than others. It has not been the juiciest year.
This mushroom season hasn't been particularly ripe here in Tucson or in northern Arizona. Still, Arizona Mushroom Society members remain hopeful.
As we have learned, the mushrooms will do what they want to do when they want to do it. That's what we have learned. So we're just hoping, you know, that our season still is not over yet. But it's going to start getting cold, and that's when the temperatures start to drop, the mushrooms hide.
But they also recognize that without the proper weather conditions, they'll have to say goodbye to these delicacies until next season. At Mount Lemon, Melanie Porter, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Mushroom Society plans foraging and photography events. You can check their website, arizonamushroomsociety.org, for more information. Nothing but clear skies. We're taking a live look from our downtown Phoenix newsroom right now.
The real question is, will skies be clear for the rest of your work week and into the weekend? Quentin Walker joins us for the Cronkite News Weather Center.
Quentin, are we taking a hike or are we staying indoors?
Well, you know, that's always a personal preference, of course, but me, I will be out hiking on the trails. My hiking boots will be on all weekend. They could be on right now, for all you know. I could have my hiking boots on. But taking a look more specifically at your evening planner for tonight, at 5 p.m., currently at about 100 degrees, moving all the way down to 90 by 10 p.m. Your sunset tonight is scheduled for about 6:30 p.m. or 6:32 p.m., pardon me, but tomorrow it's about 6:30 p.m. So we're losing about 2 minutes of daylight, pretty rapid, but pretty average for what we experience here in September. Zooming into the Phoenix Valley metro area, your highs for tomorrow, about 101, 102 across the board, but look, 99 is our projected average, so we're just capping out a bit above that. Zooming out to the rest of your highs in the state tomorrow, about 97, 98 across the western border, again down to 72 in Flagstaff, 102 in Phoenix, then in the southern eastern portion of the state. Take a look, our temperatures are a bit cooler than what we usually see, and I'll show you why. Notice down here around Tucson and Safford, we have a bit of a cold front coming in, a little bit of activity bringing some precipitation, but it's going to be pushed out of the state by Friday, and we'll be back to sunny skies and about as dry as my bank account. Taking a look at your weekend forecast, sunny skies throughout the weekend, good temperatures, not much going on until we get to Monday. The monsoons finally accepted their invitation. We'll have some showers Monday and Tuesday. With your weather, I'm Quentin Walker.
There's a usual uniform on Capitol Hill that usually consists of a suit and tie or a blouse with a blazer.
But last night, the uniform was shorts and sneakers as lawmakers took on lobbyists in a charity basketball game. Coming up on Cronkite News, hear it straight from Representative Greg Stanton, who just might be looking into a basketball career after his time in Congress.
Welcome to another edition of Cronkite Sports Now. I'm Taylor Rocha. Let's talk sports.
For the latest on local sports and beyond, we've got you covered.
Let's do this thing.
We challenge reporters to go beyond, a game story. We want stories with depth.
It's just a crucial step from the college experience into the professional experience while you're still in school.
At Cronkite Sports Now, watch the journalists of tomorrow cover sports today.
They say bipartisanship is a lost art in Washington, but don't tell that to the members of Congress who suited up last night for charity, including one member from Arizona.
Cronkite News reporter Heather Cumberledge has the story from our Washington bureau.
There's a uniform on Capitol Hill. Suit, coat, white shirt, and power tie. But lawmakers last night ditched that uniform for this one, and they were ditching their ties for a good cause. It's the 21st annual Hoops for Charity event, started in 1999 to benefit inner city youth. The game was played at Gallaudet University, a school for the deaf. So it began with cheerleaders performing the national anthem in sign language. Then bipartisan members of Congress took the court against a team of lobbyists to raise money benefiting 4 local charities. This year's event raised just under $130,000.
Raised just over $3 million for all local DC kids, and so it's, all the money goes, 100% of the money we raise goes to the kids.
Miller said the kids aren't the only beneficiaries of this annual game.
Great group of bipartisan. We can show that Washington that we can get along when the cause is right.
That was echoed by Congressman Greg Stanton, the only Arizona lawmaker on the floor.
Tonight was a fun game for charity, but also it's meaningful because it brings Democrats and Republicans closer together.
But the peace and love didn't extend to the competition. The game got heated near the end. The game ended with the lobbyists winning 54-46. Despite the loss, Stanton is not ready to give up on his hoop dream. He had an appeal to Arizona State's basketball coach.
Yeah, and I want to make sure one thing's clear. Please show the video to Bobby Hurley. I've got 4 years of eligibility, so I can still play. Bobby, recruit me.
In Northeast Washington, Heather Cumberledge, Cronkite News.
It was the 21st annual charity basketball game, and the profits went to the Hoops for Youth Foundation.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, encouraging new research on a potential therapy for those with early-stage Alzheimer's disease. And a national journalist paints a picture of America finding common grounds of belief. It's on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. In a pinch, how warming ocean waters are a threat to lobsters. That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
On country music.
There was this saying, blues had a baby, and they called it rock and roll. And I always said, yeah, and I think the daddy was a hillbilly.
2 new careers are launched in Memphis.
When it comes to music, Memphis has always had a little more soul. It's in the gumbo down there.
And 2 legendary women come to Nashville.
When you hear her sing, you feel the emotion in every lyric.
When country music continues.
Tonight at 7 on Arizona PBS. Explore new ideas and new worlds here on Arizona PBS, a community service of Arizona State University.
Arizona PBS provides you great musical performances all year long. And now we have some of the best seats for you to see some of your favorite acts live and in concert. Arizona PBS Box Office presents a backstage pass for you to meet world-class performers and offers a chance to see exciting performances before they sell out. This month, Arizona PBS Box Office presents country music star Justin Moore, Sunday, October 20th at the Mesa Amphitheater.
Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World.